I was in high school, and I think I had the best time. Everything was perfect. Everything was going my way. Everything was going pretty good. Everything was amazing. It was my sophomore year of high school where things just started plummeting. I started doing really bad in all my classes. I started failing classes, and then I didn't know what to do next. I never told my parents anything. I was scared of telling my dad, hey Dad and Mom, I'm failing. And at the end of my sophomore year, my counselor told me that I failed a U.S. history class. And I remember when I went out of her office, I said, I'm totally going to do this. I'll make it up later. And it's like junior year came, and my grades just started failing tremendously. Like nothing was ever, not even a D. And I was so focused on my choir. I was so focused on this big, huge show that I was in for high school. And I remember just thinking, oh my goodness, I'm not even gonna pass my junior year of high school. And I remember the last couple of months, maybe February, I went to the Lord and I said, Lord, please help me to pass my junior year. And I remember when I passed, I was so happy, but then I went back to the way I was. I was just like, doesn't matter, nothing happened. And it was my summer of my junior year where I got really hurt by people. I think that people just destroyed me. And I remember before I started school, it was my birthday, and I remember praying before school started, Lord, please take away all my enemies. Just take them all away. I don't want them. And God just literally, I started school, and God literally after 2 weeks, He took away everyone that I thought was important. Everyone that I told so many things to, He took away everyone. And I remember I had to quit choir because my grades were very bad junior year and all my years, and I thought, okay, I'm going to quit choir and focus on my school. And I lost my sight of the Lord, and nobody really saw it because I was so good at hiding myself that I thought, I'm this perfect person and nothing has to happen. And I remember when Christmas came, I remember breaking down because nothing was going my way. Nobody was my friend. I had nobody. I couldn't even tell anyone anything at church. And I felt so alone. And I didn't even finish that class that I had to do. Since 10th grade, I've had that class because I failed it. And I never finished it. And I still had to do it. And I remember when February came and my counselor told me that I was on the Jeopardy list for not graduating. And I was like, what? I have B's. What are you talking about? I had straight B's. I was doing really good and going to school. I was like a teacher's pet, and I don't know what happened. And she told me that one class was the thing that was not going to make me graduate. One class that was 2 years ago that I had to pass. And I think it was May 25th, a week from graduation, I finally started doing my work on that class because it was all online. And I remember when, I never told my parents. My grandma was here. My family was so happy. Everyone from church was excited to see me graduate, and I was this girl that was all alone. I had nobody to turn to, and I was just focusing on myself. I thought, oh, Natalie can do it all. And the 26th, I finally finished like 3 of the units. And I told my counselor, oh, I want to go in and take the first test. And I took the first test and I passed. And I was so happy. I was like, yes, I passed. This is awesome. And since I passed the first time, I thought, oh, the second test is a piece of cake. When I took the second test, I failed. I failed both times. I was so disappointed in myself. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm not going to graduate. Because the class was 5 units, and you need 5 units to graduate. And since I failed 1 unit, that means I only had 4 units. But my principal told me that because of the school board, that they wanted to make a way for me to pass. So they let it slide. And so the 27th, I went in and I took the 3rd test and I passed. And I was so happy. But the 28th came and I didn't take any tests. I was studying, and the 29th came and I was like, oh my God, graduation is happening in 1 more day. What am I going to do? And I remember that day I took the 4th test and I failed. And I was so mad, and I started crying in my counselor's office. And a lady came in and she said, you need to tell your mom. And I said, what? And she said, yeah, you need to tell your mom that you're not going to graduate, that you might not graduate. And I was so upset because that means that she was doubting me. So I told her, okay, I'll tell my mom. And my mom goes outside and she's alone, and she comes out and she's like, what's going on? And I know that my mom was gonna freak out. And when I told my mom, when my counselor told my mom that I wasn't gonna graduate, I told my mom nothing. I just stood there like an idiot. I was like, oh yeah, this is it for me. And my mom was so disappointed. And I think that is what motivated me to really turn to God. Was, Natalie, you're too far. You really dug this hole out. You need to trust in God. And I think she handled it so well. It's like God told her, Angie, I got Natalie. And my mom just didn't even say anything. My mom prayed for me. My mom couldn't sleep. My mom couldn't eat. She was so upset at me, and I never wanted to feel that way. I told her, I said, Mom, I'm sorry. But it's like I destroyed the trust that I had with my mom. And I never wanted to feel that way. And I remember going to my brother's room, crying, asking God for forgiveness for not turning to Him sooner, for not doing my job as a kid, as a daughter of the living God. I couldn't believe that I never turned to Him. And I remember when something in my heart just told me, Natalie, I got your back. Like something literally lifted me up. And it's like, okay, it's like I had total peace. And the next day, my dad didn't know. And my dad wanted to take me to Starbucks because he takes me to Starbucks on the day that I graduate. And I was like, Dad, why couldn't you do that the rest of the days? But on the day that I graduated, he took me to Starbucks, and I felt like this heavy burden because I couldn't tell my dad. But in a way, I knew he knew. I knew the Lord told him in a way that only God and Him could understand. And when I got to school, and I remember I prayed before I took the test, which was 4 and 5, and I sat down, I brought my laptop, and I was like, okay, Lord, this is in your hands. And all of a sudden, I passed the 4th test. And I had to text my mom because she wasn't working and she wasn't busy. I said, Mom, I passed. And she's like, woo! And then I had to take the 5th class, the 5th unit, and I took it and I passed. And it was, I finished the test, and when I passed to the 4th test, I was really happy. And then I texted my mom, was like, Mom, I texted you, I passed. And then I took the 5th test, and I was really nervous because there was questions that I didn't see on the homework and everything, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna fail. And something told me to go on my phone and read a scripture, so I read Psalms 112:7, and it says, they confidently trust in the Lord to take care of them. And I confidently trusted in the Lord to take care of me. I knew he was going to do it for me. And bam, it's like I finished and bam, I passed. I was like, oh my God, you've got to be kidding me. I was so excited. I couldn't believe it. I passed. And that moment where it's like God completely made a way for you, it was like, wow, Lord, this is what you're doing for me. It was crazy. It was really crazy. And I remember going home, and I finally had I didn't feel guilty to put on my dress, or for Lizzie to do my makeup, or for anybody to come over and say, you know, we're so proud of you. I remember when I shared my testimony with Lizzie and how amazing it was to hear from her what she had to say. And I remember the good feeling that I had in my heart to get my diploma and actually graduate. I was so happy, and the only thing that I was doing, I was thanking God. That's all I was doing. Even when I got off stage, when I went home, everything, it was like it was all God. And that's why I can truly say that's why I am second, because I put God second and I put myself first. And I thought Natalie can do everything. And when that happens, everything, God will literally ruin everything so that you can notice that he is first. And when he ruined everything for me, I was like, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do? What do I do? But at the last moment, I finally turned to him. And that is what was so amazing, is that he knew that he could totally, completely switch everything around. And I was amazed. I was so amazed about what he could do, because he does work in mysterious ways. And now I keep saying to myself, that's why I'm second. And it's because God is first. And I'm amazed.